contribute significantly to achieving the European Union's political priorities. In the first session of today, we will discuss how the proposed European Partnership on Metrology supports the digital and green transitions. We are very grateful for all the high-level speakers contributing to this debate. Please direct any questions related to the talks to the address portugal2021@euramet.org. My IPQ EURAMET colleagues in the background will provide them for the discussion at the end. And to open the debate, we have the privilege of having with us Manuel, the Portuguese Ministry for Science, Technology and Higher Education.
Good afternoon to everyone. We are here to address the science of measurements in Europe. First, we should be proud that this partnership has been one of the very first partnerships under the new framework Horizon Europe, which, as you know, has been launched last February. And this very partnership is already on board. The science of measurement is influencing and will definitely influence all our daily life in the years to come, but will be particularly critical if we really want to address the way we work on the opportunities opened by the increasing digital transition to face the challenges of the green transition. From our daily urban life, at home, on our transportation routines, but also to keep our biodiversity of our systems and more for maritime surveillance. We need to address the way we measure, the way we pass information, and the way, certainly, we address metrology at large. Let me acknowledge the European Network of Metrology Institutes, which has, year after year, built networks from the oceans to smart gases in the energy field, in urban mobility, have allowed us to building through European networks to build on the idea that in order to address the challenge of carbon neutrality, we certainly need to have more and better observation methods which rely on sensors which day after day have become smaller, more clever, but also more challenging to provide massive types of information. And all of these will rely on the way researchers and entrepreneurs work together to provide sensor networks and to face and to bring the human ability to give intelligence to those sensor networks. And they should be installed from the deep of the ocean to more and more low-orbit satellites, which do provide accurate image in different wavelengths, which do provide new information, for instance, to address key issues like the deposition of plastics on the bottom of our oceans, which the United Nations Development Report have critically identified as one of the most critical issues facing the coming decades in order we do assume green transition as a major process. So it should be acknowledged that we are particularly proud during the Portuguese presidency of the European Union to mobilize the Council, the European Parliament, the Commission to make the European Metrology Partnership as the very first partnership in this area and to address the science of measurements as a key step in the process of Europe to lead the digital and green transition as well as bringing more resilience in to European and to European regions. Certainly, we know that we need more data, we need certainly more knowledge, we need certainly articulation across actors, but all of these rely on the way we measure a range of variables and really build networks of metrology addressing carbon neutrality, and the emerging opportunities every day appear through the digitalization of our societies. So I wish you a fruitful working day and definitely the success of this partnership for years to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, I'm giving the floor to Maria da Graça Carvalho, member of the European Parliament. Previously, she has worked as a senior advisor to the Commissioner for Research, Science and Innovation, Carlos Moedas, and she has also been a member of the European Parliament in a previous term. As an MEP, she was in fact one of the rapporteurs of Horizon 2020. In addition, Maria has also held a position as a principal advisor to the former President Durão Barroso in the fields of science, higher education, innovation, research policy, energy, environment, and climate change. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon. First, I would like to thank IPQ and EURAMET for this very kind invitation to be today with you in an important, very important event. And I'm very pleased to take part of this debate. Modern societies are more and more sophisticated, and this is obviously a good thing, but it also means that they are more complex. And to move forward, we need efficient reforms to be able to address these complex phenomena and to be able to measure, to get the data, and to address uncertainty. And metrology is all about that. It's an essential tool at the service of every field of knowledge. It makes science work. Metrology makes technology work. It makes societies to evolve. It allows us to know where we stand, where we are addressing a pandemic or implementing disruptive change, such as the Green Deal and the digital transition. So in certain way, metrology is the base where science, technology relies. For example, chemical metrology is one of the examples of the important fields in this area, and with a lot of applications, for example, in the measurements of emissions. To accomplish carbon neutrality, we need the best and the most reliable tools available. That is the only way that we have to know if we are progressing. We need to monitor the data, we need to report, we need to transmit this data, and the data needs to be reliable. For all the fields of environment, not only on the climate change, quality of air, all the emissions that are most of them damage our health. It's very important that we need to measure the contamination of soils, of water, of the seas, of the oceans, as our minister has referred. So all these fields in the area of environment and fighting climate change relies on metrology. But not only there, the digital metrology is essential for digital, is essential for health, and also for other areas more in the social fields like education, politics, or even the protection of democracy. We need data, we need to know how to measure and to report this data. So this shows the importance of this public-to-public partnership. Is actually the only one that institutionalized public-to-public partnership. The European Commission in its proposal, fully acknowledged the role of metrology as an enabler of all scientific and technological fields and as a key enabler of all social and economic activity. This partnership builds, of course, on the good results and success of the two previous initiatives, the European Metrology Research Programme and the European Metrology Programme on Innovation and Research, the last one, MPIR. Actually, the MPIR had an evaluation, an external evaluation conducted in 2017. And there was 3 recommendations that are in the proposal of the European Commission and that I would like to stress because I fully agree with that. It's based on these 3 recommendations that the European Commission has enhanced the ambitions and the scope of the present proposal that we are now analyzing and that we have to finalize the report in the European Parliament. And this recommendation is that to further develop the metrology value chain in a bottom-up approach to metrology activities. The second, reinforce the role of stakeholders and the external stakeholders as universities, research institutes, industry, and with the emphasis on SMEs. And the third recommendation, to proactively developing metrology applications for emerging scientific areas, and very much to focus on the societal challenge, to align with the main priorities that we have in our society. That is, of course, an alignment with the agenda of the European Commission for the future, that is the Green Deal, the digital transition, the industrial strategy, and also the health resilience. As a rapporteur for these partnerships, actually I'm a rapporteur of the 11 partnerships, but with a very special emphasis on this one, because this one is a co-decision report that the Parliament has a very important role. I generally agree with the Commission proposal. So in this case, usually the role of the rapporteur is even more difficult because we agree so much with the initial proposal, but I have given emphasis, more emphasis to some points that the people that know me better is always points that I stress in my reports. So I start from a basic principles that I always put in the research programs that I stressed also in this partnership, in the report of this partnership. And the first principle is openness, transparency, and accessibility. So I always push for calls that are open, that give easy ways to attract newcomers, even if it's smaller institutions, that are done in a transparent way and that are accessible. My second principle is simplification. The proposal of the Commission already stressed simplification, but I fully agree and I further request for simplification. One of the problems of the public to public partnerships, I was, as a minister, proposing the first one in 2003, 2004, that was the AIDS, malaria, and tuberculosis. And since there, I have this feeling that we could do much simpler. The whole process is still a complex process. So I request for simplification. My third principle is the links upstreams, that is related with the first principle of the openness, is the links upstreams and downstream. Upstream with the research community outside the metrology community, with the ERC grants, with the other fantastic research that are going on in the national programs, in the private field. So get the more knowledge that you can from upstream your work, and downstream the market uptaking, to work that your the result of your work is better known by the society itself, by the economy, and there is a more linked with the society itself. Another point that is related to what I have been said is I stressed a little bit everywhere in the report the link with the scientific excellence and with research. I would say to ease this transfer of knowledge from other parts of the research community to the metrology, but I also included is a proposal, we'll see in the negotiations, scientists and research, independent scientists in the new steering group that is proposed by the Commission. So that is not only people appointed by the institutions, but I think that to have some scientists that are chosen in an independent way could be a good point to improve the results of your work. Another point is the visibility. Your work is not enough known, even inside the European Parliament, never mind in the member states by the population. So we really need you to do great work. It needs to be better known by everyone, by the society. And last point, the alignment with the policies and the synergies in terms of funds. That is also something that I have been defending in all my reports, that we can benefit doing synergies with regional funds, with the recovery and resilience plans, with other EIB, other European funds and other private funds. But this has to be done in a simple way, in a flexible way, not in a very bureaucratic way. So that is my point, that so you know in first hand, I will deliver the report today, end of the afternoon, the first time that I mention what is inside this report. We are very much hoping that we go very fast, that we at least start negotiations still with the Portuguese presidency, so that we can finish very soon this partnership, so that you can have your first activities during this year. That is very important for budgetary reasons, that we are able to execute the budget of 2021. So we are doing our best to speed up the process, and I look forward to your questions. If you want more information, I'm very happy to give you. And thank you very much again for the invitation.
Thank you very much. Questions will follow at the end of this session. I would like to tell you that we have 220 participants from 43 countries so far. Next, we will have Signe Ratso, Deputy Director General and a member of the Management Board of the Directorate General for Research and Innovation of the European Commission. She is also responsible for open innovation, citizens' engagement, and social innovation in research and innovation policy. Floor is yours.
Many thanks. Good afternoon to everybody, dear speakers, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I'd like to thank the Portuguese National Metrology Institute and the European Association of Metrology Institutes for organizing this event. I'm equally happy and grateful to the Portuguese presidency in general for the huge progress that has been made in the area of research and innovation during their presidency. As it was already mentioned, now finally we have also the Horizon Europe framework program adopted and will enter into force in the coming weeks after being published in the official journal. I'm also very pleased to speak after Maria de Graça Carvalho because she's really been instrumental in various positions related to research and innovation, and certainly now in her current position as a member of the European Parliament and also as a rapporteur. My own links with metrology area actually go back to some 2 decades when, before joining the European Commission, I worked in the Estonian government as Undersecretary in the Ministry of Economy. I was also responsible, among other issues, for building up Estonian metrology system and metrology infrastructure, which was part of our process of our accession to the EU. Now today, in my short intervention, I'd like to focus namely on the international context, namely metrology and its importance at international level. One of my responsibilities in DG Research and Innovation is also being chief negotiator for Horizon Europe associations. So we know that our program is open to the world, but we also have the countries. Well, there were 16 countries in the previous program who were associated to our program, but now we expect around some 20 countries also become associated to our program. So this opens up the program as such, and also the different partnerships for these countries. But certainly we go even further because the program as such is open. However, we also have now expect the adoption of the communication on the global approach to research and innovation this quarter, which also sets out the European way for international cooperation in research and innovation, and it will also address new opportunities as well as new challenges, namely those posed by the current geopolitical landscape and also today's urgencies of global concern. This communication will underpin the international dimension of Horizon Europe, how we are going to cooperate with our global partners. As said, Horizon Europe program will continue to be generally open to organizations and researchers from all over the world, but it also at the same time foresees tools for protecting European strategic interests whenever necessary. And this is also in line with the new industrial policy. I'd like to mention that today the European Commission adopted the new industrial strategy, which also will support the twin transition, digital and green transitions in the economy, as we are speaking now in the metrology area, but also helps to make European industry more competitive globally and enhance Europe's open strategic economy. Now, coming back to Horizon Europe program, as said, it will enter into force in the coming weeks, and also we aim at publishing our first work program for the first 2 years at the end of May. And as said, we are also preparing our European partnerships, including the metrology one that we are discussing now. We will invest in metrology because we believe the role of metrology can play at an international level is intrinsic by nature. It will also contribute to our global approach. It enables trade. It ensures that Europe can secure technological sovereignty in key areas for economic development. As you know, the Commission put forward its proposal for the metrology partnership as a co-funded partnership at the end of February, and we propose 300 million from Horizon Europe budget, which will be added on top of the indicative participating states' commitments of 363 million euros. This should be the next step in further integrating European metrology capacities. These capacities as European metrology networks should focus on EU priorities in global challenges, but also in emerging technologies. And we want to see that issues such as climate change, rapid laboratory testing are fully integrated with the metrology system, as well as the single market. Now, emerging technologies, which were also referred to previously, such as quantum technologies, renewable energy sources, hooked up to a European-wide grid, need also to have the coordinated support of all European metrology institutes. So this ambition strengthens sovereignty in development in key technologies, and it enables Europe to enter competitively in new trade opportunities, and to do that on a global scale. Just to conclude, I'd like to underline that metrology is key to trade in Europe and at international level. And the Commission wants to ensure that the entire single market can easily engage in our international trade opportunities. And there should be not be any difference to develop a business plan with global trade between countries in the single market. And a coherent metrology system can help to enable this. And last but not least, we really count on the European Parliament and the Member States in the Council to support our proposal and to agree upon its adoption in the next months. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is António Frøystein, EURAMET's chairperson. His focus is on supporting all members in their endeavors to build and maintain their capacity to fulfill national and regional needs, supporting a coordinated European metrology infrastructure, running the European metrology research programs to support innovation and contribute to solving society's grand challenges. Major tasks under his chairmanship during the last years have been developing the proposed European Partnership on Metrology and the new strategy for EURAMET. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, João. It's a great honor and pleasure to be here together with you. I hope you can see my presentation now.
It's fine.
Very good. So,
we
yes,
see
please.
we see the edit version just there
we
in
are.
case. Okay.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you. We sure would like to have been in Lisbon at this stage, but this is not possible now. I hope you're all well. It's an honor for me to be here along with these distinguished co-speakers. And I must say these two first ones were really inspiring to listen to. I will explain briefly a little bit more about the European Partnership on Metrology, the proposed ones. And as we heard, metrology is the science of measurement, and it's a horizontal discipline that serves as a backbone traditionally for industry and trade. Started thousands of years ago, and it has become a global necessity in order to support industry and trade, which is global now. In addition, also it underpins EU's key policy initiatives like climate change, the Green Deal, and to secure or to make sure we have a secure and healthy society. We foster European competitiveness through coordinated European metrology research, and which is also vital to implement sound regulations to provide the link between policy and innovation. Just a few words about our association. It's the European Association of National Metrology Institutes. Our role is, as was mentioned already, to secure worldwide trust and acceptance of European measurements for all aspects of business and society. We provide or intend to provide stakeholders with world-leading measurement solutions and standards in whatever need it is. It's business and society, from companies, policymakers, standardization regulators, and last but not least, the citizens. We are members from 38 European countries, and of course in Portugal, IPQ is the member of EURAMET. We're also now the dedicated implementation structure for the metrology research programs that has already taken place. The proposal briefly, which was put forward in February, has an overall objective to create, by the end of the decade, a world-class, sustainable and coordinated system for metrology at European level. We see a very strong engagement, powerful engagement and commitments from the EURAMET member countries towards the partnership. As was mentioned also, it's a co-funded initiative where it's partly funded by the European Union and participating states. We want to develop what we call a robust, sustainable European metrology infrastructure, which should go on after 2030 without any institutionalized partnership. We will provide state-of-the-art metrology research and development taken up by the innovators to support industrial developments. I don't mention digitalization here, but this is of course a key element inside this innovative role we have. And we wish to address European and global challenges, including these, which have also been mentioned: the European Green Deal, the digital transition, the European industry strategy, of course also the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and the health challenges that we foresee. EURAMET has a strong track record in delivering by world-class science towards industrial impact and societal challenges. And my colleagues will later on discuss and explain a little bit more in detail about these things, but I would like to highlight a few major past projects or groups of projects just to show you the breadth of the work that metrology research has had an impact on. For instance, in health, metrology for diagnostics, safety standards and treatment. Precise measurements are key to reliable diagnostics, and last but not least, for reliable and effective treatment. To place the right size dose of ionizing radiation on the tumor to destroy it, but without destroying the healthy tissue around, relies on precise measurements. As an example, we work on optical metrology in order to achieve quantum-enhanced secured communication, which will be one key element in the future digitalization of society and industry. We have been working on what we call the factory of the future and metrology related to this. It's about accurate sensors, miniaturized advanced sensors, computational tools and digitalization of these networks to integrate with the production line, the testing, the development and qualification of products in our industry. And the last example, which will be a strong focus also in the afternoon science debate, the sensor networks for electrical grids, where these become more complex, interlinked, and accurate, reliable sensors spread out with digital tools and computational tools in order to ensure a safe, reliable, and well-distributed system for energy. As part of the main goal under the partnership proposal to develop a sustainable, coordinated structure, we have been developing European metrology networks. They are structures within our association, and the objective of these is to create sustainable structures in areas of strategic importance for the future of European metrology, meaning areas of strategic importance where metrology have a key role. So it should be areas with a European dimension. We focus very strongly on developing a stronger links to the wider stakeholder community, including, for instance, cooperation with other partnerships as well. We strive for scientific excellence, and we will develop and coordinate what we call a common metrology strategy and infrastructure, both for R&D, for knowledge transfer, for innovative uptake, to support policy, regulations, and standards. And here are the logos of some of the ones we have established so far in terms of European metrology networks in climate and ocean observation, energy gases, quantum technologies, smart electricity grids, traceability in laboratory medicine, mathematics and statistics. In addition, the latest one is a regional cooperation with smaller NMIs in the northern part of Europe, cooperate, pull our forces together. And we have a few more under development in order to cover what we see is the important strategic areas where metrology must engage in particular. And these are now, I can mention, advanced manufacturing, closely linked also to the examples I just showed you from the Factory of the Future, and one on radiation protection. So with this brief overview of EURAMET, the Partnership for Metrology proposal and the European Metrology Networks, I say thank you very much for your attention, and questions can be put in here as João just explained to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, António. Before passing to our next speaker, just a further point on the areas from which the participants of the sessions are coming. Just to say that although this is a European event, and in fact today, 5th of May, is one of Europe's 2 days, the other one will be on the 9th, we have participants from all corners of the world, perhaps as a reflection of Europe's leadership in this field. Now, next, we will have António Mira dos Santos, President of IPQ, the Portuguese National Metrology Institute. With regards to his professional background, he was a Deputy Director General of the Directorate General for Economic Activities. In addition to this, before joining IPQ, he held the position of Secretary General of the General Secretariat of the Ministry of Economy, Innovation and Development, Ministry of Economic and Innovation, and Ministry of Economy and Employment from June 2009 to July 2012. Before his appointment as Chairman of the Board of Directors of the Portuguese Institute for Quality, António also held a position as a member of the Directing Council of IPQ. The floor is yours.
Thank you, João. It's a great pleasure and an honor to be to the Portuguese Institute for Quality to be part of this event and organized with EURAMET. IPQ has benefited a lot over the years from participating in European research projects, and I intend to provide a brief description of that with this presentation. I hope I can do to you. You can see my presentation. I hope. One moment, please. Yeah. Can you see that?
Yes,
can you see?
It's fine.
Yes? Okay,
yeah.
Fine. Thank you. So, the Portuguese Institute for Quality is a public institute under the responsibility of the Minister of the Economy and the Digital Transition, with the mission to coordinate the Portuguese system for quality, which includes 3 subsystems: metrology as a national metrology institute, standardization as a national standardization body, and qualification, including accreditation, managed by the Portuguese Institute for Accreditation and Certification. IPQ support and stimulate activities aiming at the improvement of quality in products and service to ensure accuracy and consistency of measurement with impact in relevant areas such as health, environment, energy, and industry, helping to secure a better quality of life across society. IPQ responsibility as the National Metrology Institution develops activity in the field of scientific metrology, applied metrology, and legal metrology. As a national measurement institution, IPQ is also liable for the metrological control of measuring instruments used in trade, fiscal operation, security, environment, protection, health, and energy, with the purpose of ensuring the accuracy of the measurement results with legally established limit. This duty assumes a central role in the customer and general citizen protection and in the mediation of conflicts among several stakeholders of the measurement science. The existing infrastructure has dealt with the technology development of the last 2 decades, but it is now that the measurement challenge are generally most sticking in the frontier of the technological development, and whenever I lie, accuracy and stringent measurement are involved. Measurement is part of basic infrastructure of most essential service of our quotidian, placing one notice whenever his activity works effectively and efficiently, decisively contribution for the quality of life of society. You can assume that accurate measurement saved lives, saved times and money. Since IPQ is part of the European network of INESC in its scientific and applied branch, the definition of strategic areas, despite focusing predominantly in objective of national interest according to the mission and prerogative of this institute, is also formed by taking in account the research and development strategic domain of EURAMET. The main strategic research areas of IPQ in metrology are application and dissemination of SI unities, industry, health and bioscience, environment and energy. Beside those case areas shown in the previous slide, there are horizontal areas where IPQ is much interested and activity involved, namely digitalization, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. These areas support development of the public policy for simplifying the metrology service, the procedure of data analysis and validation, communication technology and simulation, and implementation of digital certificates. IPQ has been participating in EURAMET research project since 2007. In the first program, Mira, followed by the second program, NRP, and more recently in the Imperial program. In all of those key areas of our research strategy, energy, environment, health, industry, we have had a number of important projects running, some of which you have coordinated. Now you have 12 projects running and 4 more that will start later this year. The split between areas, as illustrated in the graphic, goes on from health to industry, energy, environment. The commitment for 7 years was 1.3 million, but the benefits of this participation demonstrate the added value in the development of metrological capability, justifying the increase of this amount, which will allow a participation with more quality, including other national participants and even more benefits. To summarize some outputs from our participation in projects under European Union Horizon 2020 Research and Innovation Program since 2014 till 2020, it is shown here just a few numbers, among which the number of projects participated in the very small teams, 20 projects for 20 persons, but with a great impact for Portugal and Europe, as seen with the example given by Arne in the previous presentation. Considering the impact of national participation in private research and development programs and their contribution for the increasing level of development, accuracy and efficiency, key aspects to assure the accuracy and traceability of measurements nationwide, it is fundamental that research in metrology leads to an increased participation in European metrology research projects. The Portuguese participation should include as internal partner the NMI IPQ and designated Instituto Superior Técnico in the field of ionization radiation and the Hydrographic Institute in the field of the seawater. External partner, the research and development institution and laboratories, academy and industry. It was proposed that Portugal's contribution was 7 million for 7 years. Its priority, or IPQ priority, is the continued facing current metrological progress and challenge, increasing the capability of national measurement infrastructure, underpinned by traceable measurement standards of high accuracy, building knowledge and competence for the emergent society demands of providing the country with the means and resources necessary for the quality of life and national economy development. Portuguese expectation of the European collaboration and the partnership of metrology are of great optimism, considering this collaboration of crucial importance for the sustained development of national economy and country. I would like to emphasize some conclusion. The new European partnership on metrology, with a larger national commitment, allowing financing the National Metrology Institute and designated institutes, and also academia, innovation and development laboratory, industry and stakeholders, will certainly contribute to the economic development of the country and its national capability, aligned with the European strategy, Green Deal, as digitalization, energy, environment, and industry. Several networks were developed. The most recent is the European Metrology Network related with clean energy, one to which IPQ immediately joined and is engaged in the collaboration on clean energy topics with Brazil support the main sectors of national economy, essential to allow Portugal to fully exploit the emerging technology, improve productivity, and be prepared for the challenge facing the country. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. And last but not least, we will have now the last speaker for this session, João Peças Lopes, who is currently working as a full professor at the Faculty of Engineering of Porto University, FEUP, where he teaches both graduate and postgraduate courses. Previously, he has worked for 7 years as a director of the Sustainable Energy Systems PhD program at FEU, as well as the director of the advanced courses on sustainable energy systems. At present, João is also the member of the board of INESC Tech and the vice president of the board of the Portuguese Association for Electric Vehicles. Floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to all of you. Well, first of all, I want to thank for the invitation to participate in this event, and just to tell you that it's for me a great pleasure to deliver this presentation. So the topic of my presentation to you is about the challenges for metrology that the power systems will face when accommodating a scenario characterized by 100% renewable penetration. So first of all, and by starting by introducing the topic, I have to talk about the threats in terms of climatic changes. We are all aware of these threats, but it's always important to mention them. So it's known that the global land temperatures have increased by 1.5 degrees Celsius over the past 250 years. And this is creating the meltdown of the ices in the north and south poles of Earth. And this ice that acts as an air conditioner for the planet is provoking a climatic problem such that the oceans levels will increase and we will face the risks of having floods. So this means that we have to deal with this problem, and this requires the electrification of the society and the economy. For that, and if we want to look at what will be the situation in Europe for the coming years, there are some prospective studies that perhaps some of them optimistic, that show the way how the primary energy demand will evolve up to 2050. And for instance, in this study, you can see that electricity will take over and will be the big responsible for delivering the needs on energy that Europe will require. And so this also means, in order to be sustainable, that this electricity needs to be generated from renewable power sources, because otherwise it makes no sense to have electricity generated from coal-fired power plants or even gas, natural gas-fired power plants. And so you can see on the figure of the right the way how it is foreseen the evolution of the portfolio of generation in Europe, and we can see that solar PV generation, wind power generation will pop up largely in the coming years, and this will become a major change in the way how the electric power system of Europe will have to operate. And the same is foreseen for Portugal. And these are just figures from the National Plan for Energy and Climate to 2030, and the roadmap for climate for 2050. And you can see that the same is foreseen for Portugal. So we will increase largely the integration of solar PV generation, wind power, and at the same time the fuel power plants will be decommissioned. And so this means that the electrical grids will be dominated by electric power converters. So having a situation where grids will be dominated by electric power converters, so this means that the global inertia of the system will be largely reduced, and so stability of the system will become an issue of concern. And so this means that we will need to start monitoring inertia. We will need online dynamic security assessment tools. We will need to think about the way how the dispatch centers operate, and they will require new tools that will have to exploit different types of measurements collected from the field, and at the same time to use new solutions, new techniques like, for instance, artificial intelligence to deal with those measurements that come from the field and to deliver information to the operators of the dispatch centers. At the same time, and just because of this situation of having a large amount of power converters that will replace, in many cases, synchronous machines, so we will see a reduction in short-circuit currents. And this means the need to reevaluate and to find out new solutions for sensing and identifying protection solutions with the identification of the right settings. And so these are big challenges for the electric power industry for the years to come. At the same time, since we will have to operate a power system that will be characterized by a considerable amount of renewable power sources that are characterized by a time variability, so this means that we will need to face large power imbalances in the system. And these balances, they need to be carefully addressed. And so this means that, for instance, we will need to be able to make very accurate renewable generation forecasts by considering wind forecasts that will result also from meteorological forecasts, and that will help in defining the forecast for the next hours, say for up to 48 hours ahead, the renewable generation forecast for solar PV generation and wind power generation. And so this has a large impact in terms of operational reserves definition that will help in balancing the system together with the storage solutions. And at the same time, at the distribution grid level, the systems will face very difficult voltage regulation problems. So this means that it is necessary to have devices capable to measure effectively those voltage changes, and to also to communicate this information to the solutions that will be developed in order to cope with these situations. So the point is then how to plan and manage a system with almost 100% renewable penetration. So it will be necessary to exploit and develop the concept of flexibility. And so this means the capacity of the load to become adaptable to variations from generation, which requires a careful analysis of industrial processes, electric mobility charging, consumption in buildings and homes. And so this means a large amount of sensoring devices in order to measure information related with temperatures, and in this way to define effective control solutions that at the same time need to be capable to respond to these variations that appear from the side of the offer. And this is really important also to conceive that it's important to deal with behavioral management of consumers in a way that they could be participating actively in load responses, and to keep operational restrictions of the grid, like in terms of thermal loads, electric vehicle charging, as I have already mentioned. And at the same time, this also will be possible because we will have to accelerate the development of the so-called smart grid concept. And this means full deployment of smart metering and the development of data communication infrastructures and control procedures that will leverage the operation of the distribution grid, dealing with concepts like state estimation, because state estimation will become hard but at the same time needed functionality, because it will be necessary not only to have a view of the state of the electric power system of the transmission level, but also at the distribution level, where information is usually not available. With this information in place, it will be also possible to proceed with bad data identification, bad measurement identification, in order to intervene in the system. And then we will see an increase in the interconnections capacities, in some of the cases by just building new HVDC, which mean high voltage DC current technologies. And so this means also advanced measurements and control solutions, like using phase measurement units, because in the power system, phases have not been used up to very recently. Only in the last years, we started considering also the possibility of collecting information from phases of the angles of the voltage buses in the system, and this is provided by devices like PMUs, phase measurement units, and we will see a deployment in phase measurement units in the coming years. Also, we will have to face a redesign in the electricity market structure by just having new market solutions, like fast response reserve markets, capacity markets, flexibility markets, and this means acquisition and treatment of data for trading purposes. Also, carbon markets, they will be extremely important to foster all this change, all this transition in the energy system, which means in terms of the carbon markets also measurement of carbon emissions. And just by concluding, I would like to emphasize that metrology will be in fact key for the success of the energy transition, by providing solutions for monitoring, measuring, in order to manage and control and protect the electric power system of the future in an effective manner. We will have to deal with several emerging technologies that are here referred, like grid forming inverters, management of flexibility, forecasting technologies. And all of them, they will rely on accurate measurements and a lot of data, a lot of information that needs to be treated in a very fast manner. So metrology will also feed with proper data forecasting tools that will be fundamental for the operation of electricity markets and for the power system management. And finally, at the consumer level, so the consumer response is needed to accelerate all this challenge, all this transition, in terms of behavioral challenges and behavioral changes that need to take place. And thank you very much for your attention. I will be happy to answer any questions you may have at the end. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to all speakers. We will now have the opportunity to discuss a few questions from the audience. And the first question is to Maria da Graça Carvalho. Actually, there are two questions. I think I'll read them both. The first one is, please, can you tell us the next steps for the Metrology Partnership proposal under the co-decision procedure? Is one of the questions. The other one is, accepting that your description, your statement that we are not very good at promoting ourselves, any suggestions on how we could more effectively overcome this shortcoming? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I have submitted the bulk of the report on Monday, and today the explanatory statement, and now it's going to translation in the 23 languages of the Union. And we have in the end of, I think it's on the 26th, of May, the opportunity to discuss the report in the ITRE committee is an open discussion with the shadows rapporteurs. And in the end of the month, so 2 or 3 days after, the shadows rapporteurs can present amendments, to my amendments and to the report. So that will be in the end of May. After we have a very short time for compromise to find the compromises between my position and the shadows, the different political groups. And when we have these agreements and the compromise amendments, it is submitted and it is voted in ITRE. Depending on the calendar, it may be still in the month of June. When it's voted in ITRE, it needs to be announced in plenary. Will be announced in the following plenary. As soon as it is announced in plenary, we start with the negotiations with the council and with the commission. That we want to do that before the summer, so that we can finalize during the negotiations in time that you can open the calls, to have everything prepared, that you can open the calls in the after the summer, in the autumn, and to be able to execute the budget of this year. So the next step is that the shadows can do amendments to my own report in the end of May. So you still have possibility to influence shadows. I myself can do amendments to my own report, and this happens quite often when if I see that is something that I still can add, or I do many times, because now we have a full month to look again to the report. We can do amendments to our own report. And of course, my political group also will do probably also some set of amendments to the report. Is a normal procedure. So the visibility, I think that's very important that you have visibility in the social network, but also the traditional communication, newspapers, television. Television continues to be very important. That when you have a new finding, new ways that you are news in the national televisions in the member states, that they talk about you, what happened. There is other ways, news about projects, news about if someone that of your network gets a prize, or why not is to have a prize, because sometimes the role models have this objective of drawing the public attention to the question, and we have been able to attract a lot of attention in our areas of science through prizes, through the story of well-succeed scientists. Sometimes a story, a case, a face has an importance. Is also very, very important. So I think that you cannot neglect the role of the media. So even the traditional media is very, very, very important to transmit to the general population what you are doing. Actually, I didn't mention, but I also include the gender issues. We need to have a better gender balance in the area. But I always include also that remark.
Thank you very much. Maybe a question to João Peças Lopes. That utopia that you mentioned of having 100% renewables. When do you foresee that may happen? Is that for real in the near future, or is that still a long way to go?
Well, the projections point out that by 2050, we may be capable to at least, if not in all European states, but at least in some of them, and I'm sure that Portugal and Spain are candidates for that, to have a situation where we may tend to be 100% renewable in terms of the resources that will be used to generate electricity, which doesn't mean that fossil fuel power plants will be completely decommissioned. I still consider that natural gas power plants will be there because it will be necessary to assure security of supply. But then the trend will be to have a system almost 100% renewable in terms of resources used to generate electricity.
Thank you. I don't think we will have more questions at the moment, so I think we will stop now for a break and reconvene at the hour at 3 o'clock in Lisbon and 4 o'clock Central Europe. Okay, thank you very much. See you in a moment.
Thank you very much.
Different link for the other meeting, so you need to leave and join the other meeting.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much to all speakers. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.